All right, let's talk about a deadline that's coming up faster than you think, 2026. Because by then, AI isn't going to be a fun little experiment. It's going to be the core infrastructure of your business. So the real question is, will your people be ready? In this explainer, we're going to break down exactly how L&D and HR leaders can get ahead of this massive shift. So let's just kick things off with a number that should really make you sit up and listen. Just 1%. That's it. According to recent McKinsey research, only 1% of leaders say their current AI strategies are fully mature. 1%. I mean, that's a wild figure, and it really sets the stage for the massive readiness gap we're all staring down. So what's behind this gap? Well, there's a name for it now: learning debt. This is the crisis that's happening right now, where the tech is just moving so incredibly fast that our teams, well, they just can't keep up. And this isn't just about falling behind on a few skills. It's like a slow bleed of the critical knowledge that actually keeps your business running. Which, of course, brings us to the million-dollar question we have to answer, and fast. With 2026 looming as this huge inflection point, how on earth do we bridge this chasm between AI's potential and the reality inside our organizations? Okay, let's dig in. First things first, we've got to wrap our heads around the actual scale of this challenge. This isn't some minor bump in the road. It's a massive structural shift, and it's already showing some really deep paradoxes in how businesses are handling AI. Just look at this chart. It shows what I'd call a huge investment paradox. You see that nearly everyone, 92%, is pouring money into AI, but an almost identical number is struggling to see any real return on that investment. So we're spending the money, but the value just isn't showing up. So what gives? And this chart, well, it gives us an even clearer picture of why. It breaks down the symptoms of this readiness gap. A staggering 95% of AI pilots just fail to deliver. At the same time, 93% of ChatGPT use is what we call shadow AI, people using their personal accounts, totally unregulated. It all points right back to that initial 1% maturity stat, doesn't it? The problem isn't the tech's potential. It's the lack of a plan, and frankly, the human enablement. So if the technology isn't the problem, what is? Well, the real bottleneck isn't in the code. It's in our heads, in our culture, and ultimately in our leadership. And what this means for HR and L&D is that the challenge isn't just deploying new training courses. It's about shifting the entire organization's mindset. This quote from Forbes just nails it. We're rolling out technology that lives on probability and constant change, but we're trying to manage it with leadership models that were built for a world of predictable, linear certainty. And that disconnect, that's the real heart of the readiness gap. And this right here shows you exactly what that mental shift needs to look like. It's about moving from a mindset of certainty, where you think your experience has all the answers, to one of genuine curiosity, where your experience is just the starting point for asking new questions. It's the difference between declaring a conclusion and actually starting a discovery. And this data from McKinsey shows just how deep that disconnect is. Leaders think only about 4% of their teams are using Gen AI in a big way. The reality? It's 13%. That's more than triple their estimate. Your employees are already driving this from the ground up, but leadership is pretty much in the dark. Okay, so we've diagnosed the problem. Now, let's pivot to the solution. If we're going to mature past all these failed pilots and shadow AI, organizations have to architect a proper, centralized AI engine. The leap in technology we're talking about here is, well, it's profound. We are moving way beyond simple tools that just answer questions. We're moving to sophisticated, autonomous systems that can actually perform complex work. This isn't just a better chatbot, it's a whole new class of digital worker. The term for this is agentic AI, and these are systems that don't just respond to you. They plan, they reason, and they execute complex, multi-step tasks to achieve a goal. Honestly, you should think of them less as a tool you use and more like a virtual colleague you collaborate with. So how does that actually work in practice? It's through something called the Agent Boss framework. The human, you, defines the strategy and the goals. Then the agent goes off and executes the complicated step-by-step workflows. And finally, you come back in to refine and validate the agent's output, handling any weird edge cases. It's a true human-machine partnership. But look, as these systems get more and more powerful, the need for governance becomes absolutely non-negotiable. And this timeline shows the deadlines are coming up fast. We've already got frameworks from NIST and ISO, and by August 2026, the EU AI Act becomes fully effective. That means human oversight and transparency are going to be mandatory. The clock is officially ticking. Which brings us right back to the human side of the equation. With all this new tech and these new ways of working, how do we solve that learning debt we started with? The answer is to bake learning directly into the flow of work itself.
And the challenge here is immense. I mean, get this, the half-life of a technical skill today is just 18 to 24 months. That means half of what someone knows about a technology could be obsolete in 2 years. So as a learning leader, how do you even begin to build a strategy around a target that's moving that fast?
Well, it requires us to completely reshape how we think about talent. The old way, static job descriptions. It's just too rigid for this new world. The 2026 way is all about creating dynamic, skills-first frameworks, where work gets assembled based on real-time capabilities. For HR leaders, building these internal talent marketplaces, it's not a nice-to-have anymore. It's the core engine for matching the right skills to the right project right now. So this slide is basically your playbook for what a modern L&D ecosystem looks like. It's built on these key pillars, right? Personalization at scale, immersive simulations for practicing those high-stakes skills. But most importantly, it's about integrating learning directly into the tools people use every day, with AI providing helpful nudges and 24/7 support. This is how you stop learning from being a one-time event and turn it into a continuous, adaptive process.
This quote from the Talent LMS report just sums it all up so perfectly. In an era of constant change, learning can't be an afterthought. You know, the thing that gets cut when budgets get tight. It has to be the engine, the flywheel that drives adaptation and keeps the whole organization moving forward.
Okay, let's bring all these threads together for our final and maybe most critical takeaway. Getting to AI maturity by 2026, it's going to require a fundamental shift in how you see the world. And look, this is not just theory. The results of true transformation are profound. I mean, look at Pfizer. They used AI to cut drug discovery timelines from years down to just 30 days. Or check out Maximus UK. They got a 96% reduction in training failure rates with their AI-driven onboarding. When you actually redesign the work, the ROI is just undeniable. So here it is, the final word. If you use this incredible technology to simply automate your existing, maybe broken or inefficient processes, you will fail. You'll just be doing the wrong things faster. The real value of AI isn't in automation, it's in transformation. So I'll leave you with this one question to take back to your teams. As you're planning for 2026, are you truly redesigning the work itself around this new human-machine partnership? Or are you just using AI to put a shiny new coat of paint on the past? Because the answer to that question will determine who thrives in the next era of business.